The government promised to unleash a housing boom, new homes on a scale last seen in the 1960s. On this site by the Thames in East London, 1,100 flats are going up, but the developer isn't in a rush to get them built.
Probably in first gear.
Since the election last summer, there's been no meaningful rise in applications to build new homes. Here, they blame weak economic growth, a stagnant housing market, low confidence among first-time buyers, and a planning system that, despite reform, still feels like a lottery.
A huge amount of money and investment is made to make those applications, and if you've got no certainty of, one, will I get the right decision, and two, when will the decision even come, you know, it holds people back from investing and making that jump to submit that application.
The think tank Britain Remade says there needs to be planning applications for 40,000 new homes every month for the government to meet its manifesto target. In the 12 months since the election, the level of applications has been just under half that number. According to data from Barber ABI, in the first 6 months of this year, there were applications for 101,000 new homes in England, down 10,000 on the same period last year and 30,000 on the year before that.
They have not done enough to make it easier, faster, quicker, cheaper to build the homes that we need. As things stand, they are set to miss that 1.5 million homes target by almost 500,000 homes. That's clearly not good enough.
Around England, in cities like Cambridge, Carlisle, Birmingham, Nottingham, Newcastle, Southampton and Leeds, planning applications aren't keeping up with demand for housing. The 25 councils with the greatest need, according to the government, are all in or around London. Only 2 of them, Barnet and Hackney, had enough applications to meet construction targets between January and June. Islington needed to build 1,200 new homes. Developers submitted applications for just 67. This site in Islington used to be part of a hospital. Despite the housing crisis, it stood empty for almost 12 years. There is consent to use the land for housing, but a disagreement on what sort of housing to build. The developer submitted an application for 178 new homes, half of them affordable, and a 27-storey tower block of student flats. There were 450 objections from residents, and Islington Council blocked the project. The Mayor of London has now called it in, and he may decide to overrule the council. The government says it is acting, reinstating mandatory housing targets for councils, pledging to release some greenbelt land for building, and compelling developers to set delivery timetables and stick to them. The Housing Secretary, Angela Rayner, wasn't available for interview. In a statement, a spokesperson told us Labour inherited an acute housing crisis, but the target of 1.5 million new homes will be met. Meanwhile, in Bristol, the price of the average home has now risen to 10 times the average salary. Rents are rising faster than wages, and there are now 22,000 people on the waiting list for council housing. A local charity has converted shipping containers into what's supposed to be temporary accommodation. Simon Hill finds himself stuck here. His housing allowance won't cover local rents.
Obviously, I've looked at a few places, and there's like £1,500 to £2,000 a month. I've not got that sort of money.
If they hadn't agreed to let you stay here for longer, what would have happened to you?
I would have been homeless.
Once again, there's a difference here between the homes the council wants and those developers are willing to build. As a result, the Debenhams building remains empty 4 years after the company went bust. Across this city, the council's granted planning permission for 16,000 new homes that aren't being built. The region's mayor believes construction will soon roar into life.
There's a real grit and determination to get housing right. I think housing is...
And you honestly think we can get there? 1.5
I think
million
if we're all working across the country as the way we are here in the west of England, I think we've got a really good shot at it.
The government's rhetoric on house building is ambitious. The evidence so far suggests it's not being matched on the ground. We're 1 year into a 5-year parliament. There is still time to hit that target. But unless activity picks up sharply and soon, it will almost certainly slip out of reach.
Well, Joel, planning changes are in the pipeline, aren't they? But how much of a difference can they actually make?
Well, the government's doing quite a lot to make things cheaper and easier to build. In terms of councils, they're being set housing targets. If they don't hit them, the government's threatening to intervene. In terms of developers, they will potentially lose land or at the very least face fines if they get planning permission and then fail to build. And the government's talking tough. It's suggesting that it won't let concerns about wildlife and the environment get in the way of the diggers. Listen to this, Mary. This is the Chancellor a couple of weeks ago. I care more about a young family getting on the housing ladder than I do some snails. And I care more about my energy bills and my constituents than I do about people's views from their windows. But developers will tell you, Mary, don't be fooled by this. The government is not tearing up the planning rule book, it's tweaking it in a way that's helpful but not transformative. The government, bear in mind, wants to have a building revolution, but it doesn't have the money to finance it. It's relying on private developers to build the 1.5 million homes. And sometimes their commercial interests don't align with the national interests. Land is expensive. So inevitably, they want to build flats that they're going to be able to sell for more money than affordable housing. Land is scarce, so they're going to have to knock stuff down or build upwards. And that inevitably upsets residents. If the government is going to hit this target, it's going to have to upset people. If you don't hear uproar in the months to come, the plan isn't working.
OK, Joel Hills, thank you.